Alright guys, I know you don't believe that this stuff works, so I know you need proof. So basically I'm going to show you how the numbers work, and I'm going to show you proof of just tinkering around with it. Somebody that I just started working with for the last month, the last 30 days, he didn't even do what I suggested that he do fully, and he just kind of stumbled onto these types of results, which you should be able to replicate pretty easily. So let's just say, for the sake of argument here, I know times are tough, and I know it varies depending on where you're at. But let's say you can only squeeze about two calls. You're only seeing about 2 calls a day. You know, times are really tough. You know, you're only getting about 60 calls a month. That's what that equates to, right? And I know this, again, this also varies depending on the area that you're at, but it averages out to your average sales of about $350 a sale, all right? And you are able to, of those 60 calls, you're able to close about 30% of them, or get about 18 calls that you've done work on, okay, done deals for. All right, so that's 30%. Let's say that you actually are generating $75,000 a year in sales, which is pretty average, and so it's about $6,000 a month. Again, times are tough. And now let's say you're pulling your hair out of your head. You don't know exactly what to do, but you hire somebody part-time minimum wage, and apparently they're there to help you with marketing. Okay, and based on you hiring them, you know, part-time, minimum wage, $8 an hour, you're spending, that's 20 hours a week, so it's $160, so $640 a month. Okay, what happens is, at $640 a month, you just, you know, decreased your income by about $7,000 for the year, right? Without doing anything. But let's say that person is fairly smart, fairly good, and they add an additional 1 extra call every other day. So 15 calls more, it's about 25%, okay? Let's say they add 15 calls per month to your current traffic, to your current call volume. So that's 75 calls a month. You're still closing 30% because you're pretty consistent there. And so you see that this person actually added $18,000 in revenue to your bottom line, or an additional $1,500 a month. But of course, you got to take away the amount that you're paying that person, and instead they only made you an extra $935. You give them $640, but they've made you $935. That's 146% return on your investment, guys. Would you do that for $11,000 more per year? It's pretty. It's not too hard to do that. Of course, you got to make sure that person is doing that return, so it's important to know these numbers. But let's say that person is really smart and they suggest to you, hey, you know, what you should do is, you know, can you raise your prices just a little bit? Can you squeeze just a little bit more out of your customer, and can you raise that to about $375 a sale? Okay, so that's about 7% increase, right? So you raised it to about $375, and you've just increased your revenue, but not $11,000 for the year, but $17,000. They added almost $20,000. So you went from making $75,000 in sales to an extra $25,000 a year, or you know, your end is $17,000, roughly $20,000 for you. Would you do that? What if the guy that you hired can do all this, make this happen, prove to you that it works, and essentially show you? You give it a dry run and give it a test, and it actually says, I'll give you a 25% discount on this, right? I'll do it for $500 a month. Would you spend $500 a month to make an additional $1,600? Most people would. Most people would. So let me show you actually what happened to this one client. This right here was the client, or is the client actually, and for last month, the client got 23 calls for the month. 23 calls instead of 15 extra calls. We're working on conversion metrics as well as increasing that. So just let's say you get just slightly better at, you know, your call conversions, and you're able to close an extra, you know, one more deal out of that. So that's roughly 10%, let's say, right? Now you've gone up another 10 grand, $10,000 just by getting slightly better at closing a deal. Would you do that? I hope you can see the power and potential in this, guys. And I do hope you take action with it. Thanks for watching.